Hi, folks. Welcome to Money and Politics. It is November 16, and it is the day for some of Armageddon. Maybe the better term for some is capitulation. Let's go real quick so we'll all remember what the heck is going on. Well, who knows what's going on? So 49 cents. Maybe we can call it 50 cents, but let's call it 49. On Humbl. And not only that, but on a massive amount of volume, 21.4 million shares compared to the recent average of 4.3 a day. And so I think what I would say, and I've just had like 3 calls, so I'm just going to hit record and get this going. Look, I think what I would say on one hand is that for those who have followed what I'm saying, you get it. And for those who are sold their shares, maybe it doesn't matter anymore because they're gone. And then you're going to get the critics, the people that want to say, I'm pumping and dumping. Well, first of all, you don't pump and dump a stock like Humbl. I certainly, if I've been pumping and dumping, then I've been doing it wrong. But here's the thing. So what changed today, aside from the stock price? And I think what happened, and you probably know this, is that someone created anonymously the website that was Humbl Lawsuit. Well, it wasn't, it was just a fake website. There was no lawsuit. And if there was going to be a lawsuit, it's not going to be on a website that's called Humbl Lawsuit. I mean, you know, it would be something that is from a law firm, and they would discuss that. So I say that because it is a fraud on the people who have invested. And the other thing, I think what we found out, if we didn't know it already, is that on the OTC you get all kinds of jerks, for lack of a better term, knuckleheads, people that are going to want to just throw anything out there. This is part of what's wrong with our society this day. But folks, let me show you a couple of things that haven't changed. The stock price changed, but here's what hasn't changed. Blockchain tokenization. That's going to come along, and this isn't going away. And what else? Well, how about the app and the paying? And that's being worked on, and that's not going away. And how about the goals for the fourth quarter that we just heard about from Humbl? And, you know, here's the achievements, the $1 million revenue quarter, the earnings, the 490,000, everything we just heard. That's not different. So what's different? What's different is that some people were frightened after the decline over some period of time in the market of Humbl, that they just gave up. And, you know, folks, when you want to be a successful investor, and I don't think I'm saying anything different here, and this isn't pumping, this is teaching you about how to invest. If investing were nothing more than you pick a stock and it goes up and you sell it, and then you just do that over and over again, racking up one gain after another, well, I guess that would be easy. That'd be like going out and picking grapes. But that isn't investing. That's not even real. And yet some people think that's how it's supposed to be. And other people think you're supposed to buy a stock and you get the answer of winner or loser as if, you know, you're sending a horse around a racetrack, and 2 minutes after you buy it, you're going to know if you won or not. Or you buy a lottery ticket and you scratch it off and you find out if you won or not. Or you bet on a football game and, 2 hours later you find out if you won or not. That is not how you invest. That's not investing. And so if you're coming to the marketplace with that attitude, it's the wrong attitude. And that's not Brian Foote's fault. That's your fault. So we're creating a business here. It's a startup business. They've said, here's what we've done in that case, the third quarter. And they said, here's the goals for the fourth quarter. And they lay it out. This is, right in front of you, in clear type, NFT galleries and all the rest that we've been talking about. They're going to be having the app, right? What they're going to have in the future. And Brian's been explaining that. And we're going to have tokenization, among other things, of real estate, which could be huge. We're going to have the NFTs. We're going to have the financial services. Have any of these plans changed today because of the stock price? No. None of that is changed because the stock today went down by what? 8 cents. Now, that's a one-day decline in the price of the stock of about 14%. But the company isn't changing. And someone, I forgot who it was, put up a great bite from Jeff Bezos, and I actually watched about a year ago that whole interview where Bezos was being interviewed and talking about his company. And he goes, as our stock price kept going down, he goes, internally, the company, everything in the company kept getting better internally. We knew that we were doing better in, this function. We were doing better in that function and getting this logistics problem solved. And they knew they were building the company. This is what's going on with Humbl. So, bashers are going to bash. I don't care. What I would say, as far as any lesson out there, is that what makes a real investor is being able to not just be knocked over by the current thoughts. I mean, this is what makes one good in a number of fields. I remember when I was starting we had the worst economy ever, and when Reagan was elected president in the spring of '81, he passed his tax bill, but it was cut into 3 different cuts, and the economy kept going down. Reagan stuck to his guns. The Republicans lost the Senate in the election of 1982. And some of the Republicans lost their nerve and said, we need to make changes. And Reagan was like, no. It's just that the Democrats made us make our 30% cut in 3 stages, whereas Reagan wanted to do it in one fell cut of 30%. But what happened is by the fall, the late fall of '82 and into the spring of '83, the economy was clearly turning around. We went from the worst economy to a booming economy. And Reagan was reelected, carrying 49 out of 50 states. And the economy went on to produce great growth throughout the rest of the 1980s. So we're kind of analogous to this in that there are those who say whatever they're going to say, whatever their negative pitch are. Most of the time they don't have an argument. They just bash. This is no good. This stock sucks. Blah 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 blah. Well, you're kind of inarticulate because you can't make an articulate argument about what you are really against. The criticism, if it's to be accurate, will come later in 2022 if we find that Humbl's not performing or that the revenues are not meeting expectations. But right now, It's too early. While we just got the third quarter earnings, as I said before, the fourth quarter, which is going to be 3 full months of having tickets and having the NFT gallery and having the other lines, and we can compare the fourth quarter to the first quarter. And then hopefully also in the first quarter, as Brian Foote said, that we're going to be getting the peer-to-peer coming out. So I'm sorry for those who felt the panic. You got other people saying the stock's going to go down to 10 cents. I don't know where the stock's going. In the short run, Warren Buffett is famous for saying, I can't tell you where any stock is going to be priced in 6 months from now, but I'm not buying a stock price. I'm buying a company, and the stock price will follow a good company that grows. We're building growth. We're still in the building stage, and we're opening up new lines. We're still waiting for some other important lines of revenue here. So that's it, folks. I don't have much more to tell you about that. It's not excuses. It's the same thing I've been saying for about the last 11 months. And, in the OTC market, which is why I typically haven't invested in the OTC over the years, you're going to get these crazy bashers and all. It's a level of immaturity that I get, but we don't have to put up with on some of the more professional platforms like the NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange. That aside, I don't know that there's probably anything else that people want to hear about tonight. I think last night, I'll close with this, I think last night's 35-minute long video was good. It's funny because a lot of times I think some of my better videos are sometimes the ones that are the least watched. But I think last night was, something I would encourage you for your sake to watch. So I'll leave it at that. Anyway, I hope this is why, before I close it, this is why you want to be investing with monies you don't need in the short run, because in the short run, certainly something can go down. And you can go, wow, I'm down. I lost $50,000. Well, you didn't lose $50,000 unless you sell your stocks low. As I said last night, the name of the game isn't buy high, sell low. I don't think Humble's on the way to nothing. And in the meantime, as they build their lines, I think we're going to get some growth. I mean, that's my expectation. The other thing is, though, you are managing your money, not me. You're going to make the decision if you want to buy more, if you want to sell some. You make the decision if you've got whatever you put into the market, if you've got the ability to keep that in the market. You make the decision if the stock goes up, any stock, not just Humbl. You make the decision of when you want to sell the shares and how many you want to sell. What I can do is try to give you some perspective, because we've seen this show before, and give you some guidance that you can at least consider. One of the phone calls I just got, it was having to do with politics, but it kind of applies to this indirectly. And somebody was saying, asking me some questions about this, that, and the other thing, and I just said, look, let's cut to the chase here. What is it you're trying to achieve? I asked them. And they said, well, we want to do this. And I said, and why do you want to do that? And the point is, ultimately, what are you trying to achieve? And that's a good thing as an investor. Ask yourself. They hadn't thought through their strategy. They were thinking one step at a time. And I said, it's not just about what software do you use or what microphone you get. What are you trying to achieve? If I could wave a magic wand and declare victory for you, what does victory look like? And I would say that to you. If you're trying to achieve something financially, ask yourself, what does victory look like? What would you achieve? Don't just say financial independence. Well, what does that mean? Are you going to move down to Panama and say, now I can live forever on $2,000 a month? You know, are you going to have a tent and live in the woods, be able to live on $1,000 a month? Do you want an income of $8,000 a month? Determine what it is you're trying to achieve and then how you're going to get there. And when do you want to arrive? Well, I want to go to California. Okay. How are you going to get there? You might take a plane. You might drive, right? You might even take a train. You're going to have 3 different arrivals because you got 3 different strategies on getting where you're trying to go. So when are you going to arrive? So if you want to be worth $1 million or $5 million, how are you going to get there? There's good and bad things about the stock market. One of the bad things is, as we see with every stock, is we don't control the stock price. I didn't knock the stock price down today. You know, the stock price every day, as I've said, is a tug of war between greed and fear. Today, fear won. Back in February, when we ran it up way before it was ready, greed won. Today, fear won. That's why we had so many shares traded. But the point is, what is it that you're trying to achieve? And the stock market is not a mode for making wealth by daily transactions. If you're selling bananas on a street corner, you can sell bananas one after another. Or maybe cold beers on a hot day. You get it, whatever it is. Those are quick transactions. So you got to think through what it is you're trying to achieve. The stock market is a way to amass wealth, but it's also a waiting game. And someone else posted today, I didn't have time with all the phone calls to clip some of those. It was photos of all these different stock professionals over the years saying basically the same thing. You know, it's a waiting game, and most of the time when you think you should sell, you're better to sit on your hands and wait. And what did I say months ago? Investing is like growing corn. You plant your seeds and then you wait for it to grow. You don't go out and scream at the corn, you know, the little corn plant every day and say, come on, come on, come on, let's go. I mean, you can do that, but it's gonna move in its own time. Humbl is going to move in its own time. The market is going to be driven by revenues, and those revenues are going to be based on what Brian and his team are doing at Humbl to create a value proposition along the way. That's what this game is. And we have to wait for them to do that. And we've been waiting because the company is less than a year old and you invested in a startup. So that's it. All right, folks, I think I probably not only made the point, I belabored the point, but as always, I appreciate you watching. So take care, take heart. I wouldn't panic. This is where you got to develop your emotional calluses, as I said before, okay? We'll talk to you again. Take care.